Okay everybody, standalone video. Just quickly how to wire a 3-pin plug. This is a typical 13 amp 3-pin 240 volt, 230 volt now. You can tell this is an old one because it says 250 volt. And now we're on 230, 240. And that's to do with the EU regulations. You know, when the colours changed over and all that sort of thing. This old head is an older plug than what the cable is. So we'll get the back off of it here. These two are the strain reliefs. Obviously I'm going to have to take this out, that's why I'm undoing them. If you just had to open this up to change the fuse, you wouldn't need to touch those two screws. And nowadays you can't even open up the plugs anymore. They're all moulded on, aren't they? And this is what you got. This is the typical example. You got your neutral on the left, live on the right. The live is always where the fuse goes, and then the earth at the top. You know the earth is the top one because it's bigger than the others, and it's, you know, the earth wire. I don't know how more simply I can put it. I mean, obviously if you don't know, you don't know, but this is how it is. And you'll find a lot of the time, it's not all true for all sockets, but a lot of them are bloody labelled now, so you can't get this wrong. But there are people out there who I suppose who struggle, and that's okay. There's no harm in, there's no shame in struggling with something. I mean, I struggle with all sorts of stuff, but this isn't something that I do struggle with. You know, some people are born to do different things, and I'm born to listen to opera and not do a lot. That's what I was put on this earth to do. Now we want to strip this cable back. There's many ways to skin a cat, but I'll do it my way with my knife, or I could use the Stanley there. And we want about that much cable. Remember to leave enough insulation so you can put the strain relief back, although the strain relief appears to be fucked. You know, seeing it as how it's broken, but we'll work that out as we go along. I'm sure we can do something. And this cable is actually quite a thick, well armoured cable, but we got through it. And it's very important when you're doing this not to cut through the inner insulation of your wires, because you know, you don't want that. You don't want them all shorting out. Don't know how well you can see that, but I'm just pulling this, I'm just wiggling this, and you can see this white stuff on here. It's like a talcum powder, and they put that in a lot of cables, so you can just pull that straight off, no problem. There you go, Bob's your auntie. And then, because this is a really good electrician's knife, you see all these little serrations in here? No, they're not. That's not what that's for. You use that to strip the little inner cable insulation off. How good is that? Purpose made. And I've got two different sizes on this knife. Normal cable and then Beanie Baby cable. Now, there is also a convention of what wire you connect to first when working on any electrical system. Obviously you wouldn't do this when it's live and fucking plugged in. In fact, it's impossible. But you know, most people you speak to, they're like, oh, you should always connect the earth first and then you're safe. So there you go. Now I don't know my ass from my elbow, truth be told. You know, I've only been in the world a short time, and I've only been doing things a short time. But I do like to think that I know enough to be dangerous, and that's why it's important. I don't know where I'm going with this. You know, it's just a tangent that's just fallen dead on me. I'm trying to keep this interesting for you because, well, I don't know how to make wiring a plug interesting. It's kind of a mundane task. But again, if you don't know, you don't know, and there's no harm in asking. There's no stupid questions. Only stupid questions that you don't ask are stupid, because then you don't know. And you look like a tit, and you end up putting your earth in the live or something, and you know, fucking up whatever it is you're wiring. So we'll keep to the tried and trusted convention. Now, if you have an older appliance, right, this is an important tidbit of information. If you have an older appliance, the live will be red and the neutral will be black. But you wire it the same way, you just have to know what the colours mean. And personally, I mean, well, I can remember being taught the old colours at school, because they do that little bit in science where they tell you how to wire a plug. And I can remember, it was year 4 or year 5, and the old the new colours hadn't come in yet, and it was still black and red. That's how old I am. I am at least, you know, fucking 15 years old. No, I'm older than that, but you know what I mean. So we want to twist that round like that. You see how the strain relief is perfectly positioned, but of course now I can't get my neutral in there, so I need to unfold this again and pop my neutral just in there. And you don't want to leave too much copper exposed. My tutor don't like that, and obviously he's watching. So you gotta always work like your instructor's watching. Don't leave any copper showing. There we go, and we twist her back round. And obviously if you haven't done this right, then your connections will just come loose straight away. So, you know, make sure you do it right. And obviously you don't want the cables like what I've just done over the fucking stuff, so we'll have to just twist this a minute. We'll have to get the earth down. See, this is the difference between men and boys. It's fucking amateur hour now. Got to squish those cables in there. There we go. That'll be fine. No, it won't. Yes, it will. There we go. Then we'll pop this out and put that on there, and then just put it back in. Because this is the really fun part. Because this cable flex is so big, because I'm not at all sure it's supposed to be operating off of a 13 amp plug, but it is. Again, I don't know much about woodworking. I do know much about this though. And you see, the trouble is today, with all these moulded on plugs, people don't know what the fuck's inside or what to do. And you know, like they think, oh, the plug's broken, I've got to throw the entire machine away. Which is alright for people like you and me watching this, because we can, you know, pop a new plug on the end until all of a sudden we've got a £500 TV. At least that's the dream. It never really seems to work out for me. Any piece of equipment I repair always has some sort of unknown fucking fault, and it always ends up being a dodgy deal in the end, but that's the dream. And I will pursue that dream no matter how hopeless and far. Now with this, because you've got the fuse here, you can detach the plug completely and put that in there. We might actually have to cut this because it's just fucking so oversized, it's beyond a joke. Yeah, we're going to have to cut this a bit shorter. That's okay. But that's how you wire it. If you haven't got the general idea by this point. I'll show you another way to strip cable as well while we're here. Having fun, learning. No, don't want them. Don't want them. Don't want earth sleeving. I shouldn't fucking need earth sleeving. There we go. This electrician's belt needs some fucking work. All the tools are just kind of in there, you know, loosey-goosey. It's not good enough at all. Now, I forget what this tool's called. It's sort of a... You see these in the magazines all the time. And obviously if I was a proper electrician I'd know what it's called, but I only know how to use it. And basically it's a cutter and a stripper all in one, and what you do, I mean, you look in the catalogue, soon enough you'll see this. You just snip that off like that, then you just pinch this a little bit, just with your little finger, and you can feel it. And then you want to slacken it off a little bit, and then pull straight up, and look, beautiful. And some people like to work like that. I prefer a knife, but you can do it like that. You know, it's what's the saying? Amateurs talk tactics about, you know, what tool's better and all this and that, and professionals talk logistics of what tool is nearest me to do the actual work with. You know, you can use anything to do this with. I could have used them cutters there. I could have even used those little cutters there. You know, it's just, you know, what's within reach. You know, I'll put that on there and see if we can't squash it all in there. It's always a bit of a tight squeeze to get everything back in the plug socket. Not the plug socket, the plug head. See, it's because I don't know what I'm on about, because I'm actually a plumber. Don't tell anybody though. I don't want people bothering me about fucking leaky stuff. And you see it's still a bit too long, so, you know, we'll demonstrate that amazing cable stripping technique again. So it's a good thing I'm good at stripping cable, I'm just not that good at marking and measuring out. So actually we'll do this, and look, that's where the cable's got to finish up. So we've got to cut that head off plus a little bit more. That's what we needed to do in the first place, size up where it's got to go. And yeah, that's all you got to do. Wiring a plug is easy. Putting the plug head back together, that is what is difficult. Squishing all them cables in there. There we go, that fits better, doesn't it? So we'll put that down in there, and then we'll tighten the screw up, and then we know you don't want to leave the little cut off ends of cable in the plug socket head. That's a bad idea. You know, because they could cause arcing and all this other stuff. All this other unsafe stuff. Anyway, put that in there. Make sure all your screws are tight, and in a minute we'll show you a foolproof electrical test to test all your mechanical connections. I like to call it the pull test. You can call it whatever you want. Basically, you well, you put the fucker together first. Oh, get in there. There we go. She's in. No, she's not. Put it all together, like though, and then just kind of do your best. Basically, what you want to do, you want to pull on everything. And if the cable doesn't come out, then you're good. That's all you need to do. That's called the pull test. It's a highly scientific test. I do it on all my connections. Doesn't matter what I'm working on. I will pull on the connection just to make sure that it's nice and tight. You can see I've fucking... You see that's turning up like that? That needs to sit down properly for the fuse to go in properly. There we go. And then we've got to struggle with the strain relief. And you see the strain relief's been broken. That's alright, because I strongly suspect that because this cable is oversized, it's like fucking... I don't know why people think it's acceptable to drive noisy vehicles around on a Sunday, but it is, apparently. I mean, yeah, it's a free country, but fucking hell. I don't need to listen to that shit. All that crap. Who needs that? Anyway, now we've got to just struggle with this sodding cheap-ass strain relief which is broken. This isn't really strictly necessary for a workshop tool because it's not going to be fucking tugged about. But you should, you know, try and play with the spirit of things. I mean, if you think this little cheap piece of plastic is going to make the difference between life and death, you're a damn fool. But still. You see, I don't understand why this was cut off in the first place either, but I suppose it's to give me something to do, really, because I was going to be doing them sockets that we were recording earlier, and, well, can't do that now. So we'll try and get that in there. Obviously, in an ideal world, I would go and get a new strain relief, but it's not really necessary, is it? Is it? Because by the time I put that cap on, you see how tight it is. Get that in there. Exactly. I'll tell you what that is. Because these fucking cables aren't down in that groove properly. Push that down. Push that down. And try all you might. Push that in there. And this is the fun part where you stick the screwdriver through the insulation and expose the copper. In which case you've got to start all over again, but that's what you got to do. You've got to take the screwdriver and just push those down in there out the way, and then you're not pinching over everything all the time. There we go. See how that goes together easier now? And then you do the fucker up, tight as you can, strip the screw out, and then back a quarter turn, and you're done. And then we'll do the highly technical patented electrical test again. Doesn't really matter about this screw because it's not biting into anything. That one's good and tight. And what will happen is the case will actually clamp that piece of plastic, so it should be good. Anyway, this is the highly technical test I'm about to show you. It's supposed to be fitted with a 3 amps fuse. We could have checked that, but I don't care. You pull on it, and we could plug it in and turn this machine on, but there's no power in the shed. So that blows that idea. We've got to put the armour cable in the lawn, and I'll do a video about that. But as far as I know, that's good. And if it isn't, then guess what? There's plenty of time to come back and do it again. There's no sense in rushing a little job like that, because it's only yourself who you're going to blow up. And if it ain't yourself who you're going to blow up, then you'll have to come back and do it again if it's a paid job. So there you go. That is how you wire a 3-pin plug in the UK. I don't know what they're like in other countries, and I don't care, but that's how you do it here. Broken strain relief notwithstanding. So I hope you enjoyed that, and we're going to get out on the bike.